Hello guys, it's me. All right, so tonight I want to do a video about behaviors commonly seen in cyber stalking. So I was going through some old notes and I found something that I had printed up here, a couple of things I printed up when all this began. And I found an article, no, I'm sorry, I was in Huntsville when I printed this one up. This one, one's about coercive mind control tactics, and another is behaviors commonly seen in cyber stalking. I found these and forgot that I had them. Interestingly enough, I had saved these screenshots, and they kept going missing in my computer. So every time I try to find it. So, all right. So number one behavior: attempt to gather information about the victim. Contacting victim's employer, work colleagues, or classmates, contacting friends, social acquaintances, extensive dumpster diving through data mining completed online through sources such as public records, Facebook, and data services. That happened. And number two, attacks on computer equipment and data. Downloading malware and spyware into victim and their friends and family members' computers to download all saved files, emails, contact lists, and etc. The malware and spyware used rest deep in the operating system, often undetectable by antivirus programs. Spyware often includes readily available programs such as keyloggers and programs that enable predators and cyber criminals to constant and complete remote access of the victim's computers and phone devices. This access enables predators to turn on the webcam and film and monitor their prey, both in a pre-assessment phase and post-victimization phase. There's an advanced malware that can function in a similar video and audio recording manners, even when the webcam is precautionarily covered. That's a weird word. I've never seen that. Covered with electrical tape. These private video and personal information identified during data dumpster diving is often used by predators to control, intimidate, and exploit the victims. One thing that I learned about the immunity traffickers and other people like this, because a lot of times the cyber stalking is even beyond just like boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. It's used by a lot of human traffickers in a way that they can watch you through their webcam, but what they're also doing is relaying the information, to other human traffickers, and basically you're on the chopping block. I know that I was taunted with the fact that maybe people like to get a sneak peek before they, want to buy you or something. It was nonstop, things like that. Okay, now making threats. Predators and abusers realize that threats and intimidation are as effective in physical form as in written and verbal format. It is not uncommon for predators and cyber stalkers to try and intimidate or control a victim by demonstrating their ability to track and hunt her in public, enter her residence or place of employment. When combined with physically threatening behavior or physical assault, the progressive escalation often foreshadows further assault. I agree with this. All right, number four, impersonating the victim. Predators and abusers have also documented to the use of email and text messaging to impersonate their victims to cause further disruption in their lives and professional work, often without the victim's initial awareness. Predators and abusers characteristically use calculated measures to try and push away any possible support network the victim may have or may be able to establish to protect herself or her children. Yes, that happened also. And they're also the newest thing that they're doing is putting women that they want to traffic into the immunity trafficking system by using police resources and government resources and putting her on a bogus investigation. So then they're using like the top of the line spy equipment and resources to keep an eye on the woman. It's sick. But I've gone over that in other videos. Now, number 5, encouraging others to harass the victim. Oh, yes. Many cyber stalkers look for ways to use a third party to harass their victims. A common technique involves advertising and marketing a description of the victim together with along with personal information such as a profile of her personal information, location of her residence and of her family, finances, place of employment, locations frequented, and contacts. Providing malware access to her computer and webcam, any photographs or videos the stalker has obtained of the woman. In worst case scenarios, cyber stalkers have indicated that the victim is available sexually or have tried to encourage other men to rape her. Yeah, that does happen. Cyber stalkers may also enlist the help of family or relatives, often by convincing them that the victim has harmed the cyber stalker or his family in some way. As emphasized by Mullen, Path, and Purcell in their 2000 book, Stalkers and Their Victims Involving Third Parties in Harassment is usually called stalking by proxy. Yes, this does happen. I've actually, this is basically immunity trafficking. If they're giving out your information to other people and telling other people to rape or beat you or, have at her or whatever, yeah, that's happened. Number 6, physically assaulting the victim. So it always escalates. And I love this article here because it goes over like literally the path that mine escalated. And I was scared at the time, and I kept telling the police, I'm like, this is escalating into something like bad. They didn't care. It's like, okay. All right. Number 6, physically assaulting the victim. Crimes such as stalking and domestic violence often originate from a predatory or abuser's need to control or regain control or a sense of power in their life. Crimes originating from a need to control or develop a personal sense of power typically escalate with increasingly devastating consequences for the victim. Yes, like selling the victim to a gang of human traffickers and, giving her MK Ultra codes out and telling them to beat her up and put her in torture porn and all kinds of stuff. Yay. You feel powerful now, huh? Yes. Number 7, abusing the victim. Cyber stalkers and their friends will go to extensive effort to hunt, frighten, or to try to control their victims and her family. Causing chronic fear and distress feeds cyber stalkers and abusers pathological need for a sense of control or power over the victim, her life, or others. Cyber stalkers and predators are often incredibly persistent in efforts to cause emotional, psychological, and physical harm to the victims. Ongoing stalking and intimidation is often used by cyber stalkers, so women and children who have been the target or victimized are too often afraid to go to the authorities. Because sometimes the authorities are the ones that are doing it. Yeah. Victims are often threatened by their assailant or receive threats that another family member will be victimized if they go get help. Predators who use technology to stalk and monitor their victims have already demonstrated their willingness and capability to hunt and victimize. Cyber stalking is often used by sexual predators, domestic abusers, and social predators to further break a woman down through a form of abuse that is difficult for both victims and authorities to fully stop, which predators and abusers are fully aware of. This is also used in cults too. So, all right, number 8, making false accusations about the victim. Predators and abusers characteristically use calculated measures to try and push away any possible support network the victim may have or be able to establish to help protect herself or her children. Predators and abusers have also been documented to use email and text messaging to impersonate the victim, to cause further disruption in their life and professional work, often without the victim's initial awareness. Predators and abusers want to isolate the victims from their support network of friends, family, and work. When you are isolated, you can be re-victimized. This is all pretty much what I've been covering for the past 2 years, all of this. And I'm told that it's just too crazy, it's too outlandish, these things don't happen. Oh my God. But obviously somebody freaking wrote this. Did they make this up? So, okay, so here are some characteristics of the sadistic power control stalkers. Number 1, offender is sexually aroused by sadistic acts. This entire thing pretty much is my handler and some other handlers that I know that have been working together to keep me from, having a life or moving on and whatever. Offender exercises power, control, and domination over the victim. Offender humiliates or degrades the victim. Offender tortures victim or engages in acts of cruelty on the victim. Offender mutilates sexual parts of the victim's body. Offender has history of choking consensual partners during sex. Offender engages in gratuitous violence towards the victim. Offender has a history of cruelty to other persons or animals. Offender gratuitously wounds the victim. Offender attempts to or succeeds in strangling, choking, or otherwise asphyxiating the victim. Offender keeps trophies, hair, underwear, ID of the victim. Offender keeps records or other trophies of the offense. Offender offender carefully pre-plans his offense or her offense. Offender mutilates non-sexual parts of the victim's body. Offender engages in bondage with consensual partners during sex. Victim is abducted or confined. Evidence of ritualism in the offense. You can definitely find ritualism in your stalking if you notice that a pattern in dates, and also check like the full moon. I have had the worst physical attacks on the full and the new moon ever, where I've woken up and almost have been dead, or wishing I was dead at that moment. Usually, if it's a cult-based, ritualistic kind of stalking, there will be a set pattern. With me, it starts about now, and it starts, with now that it's physical and sexual abuse and all that. Now it's the microwave weapons nonstop, to the point that it's actually causing physical damage to like my liver and my stomach and my head and everything. And then it will hit a crescendo about June or July and then taper off in September to December, and then it all just kind of begins again. But definitely pay attention to the new moon and the full moon. If you find that it kind of ramps up around that time, then you might be dealing with some kind of a ritualistic offense. I go over this in my Vatican cult stalking playlist, where I found John Harwood, who knows all about this. And apparently it's a divine queen divine goddess kind of ritual where it's basically where the harlot goes after the woman in the Bible. You know, it's like the dragon goes after the woman, but what they do is they torment the good woman nonstop, just more out of jealousy. And ideally, they'd like to get a baby out of her. So the cult will basically stalk the person until they give their child over. And a lot of people have been victim of this, and they're not even aware of what happened. Usually they'll use like an abusive partner, and then they've already started the ritual. You don't even know that they have. And then say you have a baby with the partner, and then all of a sudden you hear these stories about like the baby being taken from the hospital, babies being unfairly taken by CPS. This is all part of that ritual, the whole thing, because the Vatican runs CPS, like Catholic Charities and all that. So all of this is a big harvesting ritual for their child trafficking operations. So, but yeah, I go into all that in those videos. So, yeah, but this is 100% true. This article, I don't even know where the article came from. I'm going to have to try to find where it was, because I printed it up and I don't have any website printed on here. But yeah, so all of this comes together at the end of the day. Like everything that I've been saying for the past 2 years about the baby and not understanding all of it, these people calling me their goddess, their queen, it made no sense. I thought it was maybe a bloodline thing. No, it's the fact that I'm just not like a total dirtbag part of the cult, and I'm not flipping, so that this is kind of like a crucifixion ritual to try to turn me into something that I'm not. And there's actually a guy out of San Antonio on my old Facebook named John, and he was a Mexican guy, and I think he used to work at strip clubs. I didn't know much about him. I had like 5,000 people on my list, and one day he threatened me that someone was going to take me to Texas and turn me into the thing I hate the most. And I was just really creeped out about that. And he just got more threatening about it. And it made no sense at the time. And it was about 2012 when that happened. And that was around the time, 2012 was a year that they sent in the human traffickers to try to lure me places. And ever since then, it's been a steady stream of traffickers, and male and female, that have been sent in. But yeah, but this is awesome. So my next video I'm going to go into coercive mind control tactics. This is all stuff that I'm going through, but I'm being told that nothing is happening, but it is. Because yeah, this is not a normal way to live at all. So, all right. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming. Bye.